Well, Tarek, I appreciate you joining us. I mean, you're becoming somewhat of a celebrity, it seems like. You've always got the microphone, whether it's a NatCon or whether it's a Keys to Success. Have you noticed this trend lately, or is it just me?
Yeah, I see. I think we're getting to where we need to be, hopefully real soon.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. I mean, and you always get up there with a ton of energy, a ton of enthusiasm. Your guys are electrified. I mean, they're a rowdy bunch. And so I can just imagine that culture in your office. It looks like a lot of fun. Um, so anyway, so all the owners, right? So we've got our owners, hopping on this call here. And so I told them in an email that, you said your biggest strengths. So I thought this was interesting, and we'll kind of see where this conversation goes, but I'm going to pass the microphone on to you. But I'm like, hey, you're always on stage. What do you think your biggest strengths are? And you told me systems. I was a little surprised to hear systems because you seem like a high I, and maybe a high I does need systems. I'm not sure, but you said systems, standards, schedule, and recruiting. So feel free to go on any tangent you'd like, but I'd like you to talk a little bit about your strengths and how they became your strengths. I mean, I'll let you run with this thing.
Yeah. So with the strength, I think with the system, standard, schedule, I think that came with over time. I mean, I wasn't very systematic, like you said. Like I am a I, and I had no systems. I think for the first 3 years running at ICL, and then eventually, I wasn't happy where I was, and I realized I was just all over the place. I'm not organized. I'm getting better, and the moment I committed to a systematic schedule and following the systems, that's when we really blew up over the course of the last 3 years. And the schedule, I've had the same schedule over 2 years, haven't changed it. And I think it's a pretty awesome schedule. And I could go over, I see a lot of you guys are in retail. Some of you guys are already on that schedule. And I think it could be really effective on a B2B schedule and residential. And with standards, I'm very tough on standards. I motivate the standards to push these guys to interview. So we have really high standards to get qualified to interview, and that pushes these guys to really push to start recruiting and building their teams. And I've always had good recruiting. I'm going to enter my numbers pretty soon starting this week, but I'm always getting at least 20 to 30 seconds a week, and it pushes the guys. So I think those are really my strengths. And do you want me to go over my schedule I have and the standards I have?
Yeah, I mean, just to spawn from that, I'm curious, you said your first 3 years, not a lot of systems. I mean, kind of flying off the seat of your pants, personality, lots of personality in your business. What kind of systems were brought to the table?
So a lot of the systems were pretty much the following. It comes down to the schedule. I really think systems and schedules are really similar. If you have a very consistent schedule, that means you're following a system, and you're really not just winging everything. So just being prepared for the day, really following the 8 great work habits at all times. I mean, I'm always prepared for my meetings. Every Sunday, I send out a weekly email the same time. I get to the office at the same exact time. And that's, to me, in my opinion, that's following the systems. It's really working a full day, understanding opportunity, and just using the 8 great work habits. I use that like crazy every day. So I'm in the office at the same time every day, wake up at the same time. I started doing that the past actually few months, as I wake up the same exact time, just so systematic, and it's really been helping. And one of my outside deals actually was telling me I can't get consistency down. And I broke it down to him. It's every time he walks in, it's a different time every time. One time is 8 a.m., one time is 8:37. Yesterday he walked in at 9, right? So I think it starts off from the time you wake up and the time you get in. And once I started getting in the same time and just making sure I'm following that schedule, it really helped me being systematic.
Great.
Yeah.
And same time every day, 7 days a week, or it's the work days, it's one time.
Yeah, so it's every day except for the weekend. So the weekends, the guys go straight to the field. I don't come to the office, but I'm in the office Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Got it. And you just Zoom Saturday, Sunday?
No, actually, I don't do anything on the weekends. So I mean, I go to the field personally. That's my field time. And I'm so systematic with that as well. And I'm in the field every Saturday, Sunday, no matter what, unless it's like really urgent, I can't go. But the guys go straight to the field on the weekends without me doing Zoom, because I've realized I was losing a lot of people in the past with retention, with leaders complaining about the time they get in. They don't have time to do this. They don't have time to do laundry. They don't have time to do errands. So I've eliminated the excuse with all the leaders on the weekends, and they go straight to the store at different time shifts. So if it's Saturday, Sunday, it's 9 to 4, 10 to 5, 11 to 6, or 12 to 7. If I was on res and B2B, I would probably do the same thing as well.
Well, you have something more powerful than a morning meeting. You have your actions, right? Your example. Is that what motivates you? Because obviously you don't necessarily need to do it for the money. It's not like, oh, gee, I got to make my hub managers ripping on me. I need some dough. I mean, you're doing well financially. I haven't looked at your financial statement, but something tells me there's 6 figures or more sitting in that bank account. Why are you so relentless in the field?
I think because, again, I don't do the Zoom stuff on the weekend, so I need something to push the guys. And I personally enjoy the field. I can't sit there and do nothing all day. Like, I feel like there's so much time in the day. I might as well make money and push these guys. If I'm in the field, I know for a fact it's going to be a great weekend with production. And it helps a lot with production when I'm in the field. And every time I go with somebody in the store, I mean, they kill it every time. So I just eliminate every excuse. And I just enjoy going on the weekend, if anything. I prefer that over going during the week.
And you were like this on B2B when you were running a T-Mobile office. I mean, you were a monster in the field then too. So you just always enjoyed the field.
I enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy it just so I can push the guys and motivate them. So I enjoy the competition that it brings to the guys. So they're all highly competitive. And that's how I like to push the team. And it comes down to really pushing the standard of setting the bar high. Yeah, because I really think on the weekends and me going to the field, might as well. I mean, you make extra money as an owner when you hit the field. You don't have to pay yourself a salary. You pay yourself what you make in the field.
Right. You just give all your company profits to your mom, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Every week.
So talk about that. You recruited your mom to be your recruiter. I mean, I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, the story that you told is that you had 2 or 3 recruiters. You brought your mom in. The next thing you know, your mom just kind of took over, the operations of your business. I mean, walk us through that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I always wanted to put her on payroll, and I didn't want to put her on payroll without her doing something. So it was just perfect timing. She had a job. I wasn't paying her really anything. It's like $150 a week, part-time jewelry place, just showing jewelry. And I told her, why don't you just read the script, recruit people for me. And then it just started off just like, hey, let's try this for 2 weeks. And eventually, like, I was getting really good results from her, and she enjoyed it. And she is a stay-at-home mom. I mean, I'm the oldest of 5 kids, so we still had the younger ones of like still in school. She had to drop off my siblings to school still. So I kept her busy, and she loved it. She really never worked. This is really her first job ever. The jewelry, she worked for 2 days at that jewelry place once I found out that they were paying her $150 a week. And then she became really good at it. She loved it. She loved the fact that she was helping me build my organization. And yeah, and she loves it. She's very passionate about it. She's in California right now visiting my grandma, and she's working from home. I mean, visiting her. So she's always traveling too. So it's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
And she's really good. And the way I've taught her is to just bring as many people as you can for interviews. Don't screen anybody, just bring them in on Zoom. But now she's got really good with the quality. So now she's really good with quality now.
Great. And you said you get roughly between 20 to 30 seconds per week. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you said you've always been a competent recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
That's an area you've never struggled in.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that?
It's because I recruited. There was one point where I lost my recruiter, and I was a rookie owner, and my mentors told me just get on the phone. My owner at the time didn't teach me. I mean, he didn't tell me anything about it. I just asked a few owners that were doing it, had experience in it. And I got on the phones for about 3 months. So I would come in the morning around 7 a.m. And this is rookie owner. Like this was like 7 years ago. So I would get on the phone for 3 months and just recruit like crazy. And I fell in love with it too. So I was doing that for a little bit for 3 months, 4 months, and then until I found another recruiter. But I got so excited about it. Like I was full control with my recruiting. I got to coach my recruiters. And I actually trained my mom because of the experience I had. And I was bringing 30 seconds myself, like long time ago. And I'm just very excited about it. I was doing my own ads at the time. So I just taught myself. I was just being very solution oriented with the recruiting.
Yeah, I think that this is such a common story. We brought so many, high achievers on these calls over the last few months. And so it seems like such a common story. I mean, it's like, listen, my recruiter wasn't doing so hot. So I took the, horse by the reins myself. It's like your office is struggling, like go in the field. I mean, you're going to realize that it's like, what are my guys crying about, man? Like, it's not as tough as they're making it sound. So a lot of owners are like, well, listen, I mean, it's not as tough as you guys are saying that it is. I mean, that just seems like such a recurring theme that we're hearing. And all it takes is one sharp recruit to keep you highly motivated. Like, dude, let's keep on calling here, right?
Yeah.
So, I think if there's a call to action for all of us, when we have our assistant managers, we got to make sure that these guys are getting on the phones and they are our recruiters for a period of time. So they have that core competency before they're running an office. I mean, do you do something similar to that, Tarek? Are you making sure that all your soon-to-be owners are highly competent recruiters?
Yeah, absolutely. Before they go out, they have to learn like 20, they got to make calls for like a whole week and actually bring in new starts and be a pro applicant starter. Cause I've promoted deals where they had no idea. And the 2 deals that actually I didn't teach recruiting, they actually shut down. So I've shut down 2 deals years ago, and actually one right before COVID. And it's because of the recruiting, and I didn't teach them, and I feel bad. I try to teach them like over like while they're running an ICL, but they just weren't having it. So I think I learned from that, and every person I've promoted out recently and in the org know actually everything about applicant starter and like the recruiting itself.
Right. Yeah, you need the repetitions.
Yeah.
Right. You got to get the reps under your belt. So to ask an owner who's never done that, remotely to learn this, yeah, that's trickier. So, I hope everybody's, got that locked in, that before your owners get promoted out, they are very familiar with applicant starter. They know how to communicate with the recruits. And so, obviously an important part of business. What other parts are important that your people need to master before they leave the nest?
So they need to master the confidence in the field. Like they need to be crushing the field. And I mean, all my owners do hit the field. I mean, they're not where they need to be. But like, I never have to tell them to go to the field. They're always there. And I think that's super important the first few years in business, is to like pay yourself from what you make in the field, lead by example. And that's something I struggled with starting off, is like, I thought I could be successful without doing the field and promoting leaders. Like I had a really bad 3-4 months in business because of that. Like I would sit on I remember I would sit on my desk and just refresh our board to see energy sales coming through, and nothing was happening. I would just sit there and cry like, oh, why is no one selling? Oh my God. And then I eventually got a few calls and I decided to go to the field. I mean, the only option I had was to go to the field, and I was in a bad situation my first year in business. I mean, I had negative $167 in my bank account, and that was a turning point. And JP, a lot of you guys know JP, he called me with Ed and my hub, giving me 3 options: 1, to leave the business; 2, go on a retrain; 3, get my shit together. And I took the 3rd option. And ever since that conversation in 2014, I never had a bad week in business. Or 2015. Yeah, never had a bad year. So because of me taking out interviews, training, and hitting the fields. And I still do till this day hit the field. I get bored if I don't.
Did you have to think much about those 3 options? Did you have to ponder, or did you instinctively know, like, all right, dude, I've been waiting for this conversation?
Yeah, I just waited. I don't know what I mean, I was so young. I was like 23. Like, I guess I had no goals at the time. And I think I had a big heart to heart with my family and all this. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And yeah, and I decided, and they're giving me a hard time. They're like, oh, I told you not to do this. And then eventually, I slapped myself in the face and got my shit together. I mean, it was immediately after that conversation, really, that those few days after that.
That's awesome.
And it was a decision I made. I think everything you can control, like you can control how well you do in business, how many interviews you get a week, how well your guys do in the field. It's all controllable based on your actions.
And I remember as a rookie owner, I called a consultant and I was actually calling a bunch of different consultants with the same question. And my question was, hey, how important is it for rookie owners to go in the field? Right. And so I finally make my rounds, and no names mentioned, but I get to one consultant. He says, Jamie, the only reason you're asking me that question is because other people have told you you need to go in the field, and you're hoping I'm going to say something different. Just get your crap together and go in. And I'm like, man, I did not want to be called out on it, but that's exactly what I needed to hear. That's exactly what I needed to do. And I was relying on road trips to turn my business around. Oh, hey, everybody keeps sending me some people to turn my business around. But you, the owner, man, you got to get out there and lead from the front. So you do a really good job of that. And it's interesting to hear you like it, right? I mean, I know a lot of owners that do not like the field, and they'll do anything and everything to avoid the field. I mean, what would you say to that person who says, dude, I didn't bust my ass to go through the field so I could continue to be a field rep. Like, I joined this so I could become an owner of my own business. What would you say to that guy?
Honestly, I would tell them it's not for them. I mean, I tell my top leaders now, like, hey, if you think you're going to run an office, not the field, good luck. You got to find something else. Like, I'm very honest now. Actually, this was recently after NatCon. A lot of my top leaders are like, oh, I'm not going to hit the field as an owner. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you got to be in the field. You got to be grinding for your first few years in business until you get to consultant. Then maybe you can back off if your business is doing well. So my belief is, like, you got to hit the field till senior national consultant. I mean, there's so many bonuses on the table, like $3K a week or something. Like, I don't know. Is that right, Jamie? $3K a week if you have a $15K wire, if you're a consultant?
20K wire.
20K wire. And that's going to require sometimes as a consultant going to the field if you're not where you need to be. Mm-hmm. So I think it just doesn't stop if you really care about the opportunity. Because, I mean, what else is there to do? I mean, there's so much time. Like, I'm not in the field today and I'm like bored out of my mind. Like, what do I do? Go home? Like, I'm ready. Like, it's crazy. Home could be at 6 or 7. Now, you don't have to go to the field at full day. You just go out there a few hours. If you don't, it's like going to the field. You don't have to do it for 7 hours every day. You go 3 times a week, hit your goal, whatever you need to do at 1,500, 2K a week, and then just chill out. I mean, the best time you could spend with your guys is in the field. I really think that's the best time. It's in a professional setting and you're hanging out with the top person. You're developing them for a few hours. Mm-hmm. The field just doesn't stop. It's our business. It's what makes us money. I mean, if the guys don't sell, there's no money coming in. So you got to be the best at it and you got to love it. And the guys have to feel that you love that. I mean, if you don't like it, just fake it.
Yeah, Juanis, you can keep me honest on this. I'll be in your office tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. But I remember Joe Kaplan coming to our office when you and I were sharing office space. And now you didn't have to, you could Google Joe Kaplan. He was the owner of the client Juanis was representing, which was a merchant IMS. Is that what it's called? IMS, a merchant processing. And he had won like LA Entrepreneur of the Year, something like that. This dude was worth like $400 million, like a huge amount. And he kept coming to the office every month to go in the field with a top rep. And I remember asking him, like, why do you keep coming here to go to the field? And his response was, you never want to be too far away from the things that make you money. You don't want to be far away from what creates revenue. So being in the field, I see the revenue, why people say no, why people say yes. Juanis, am I on the right track with that? Did you kind of hear him slightly different?
100%, without a doubt. And he was worth $1 billion. Yeah, billionaire CEO came down so that the vendor could take him out in the field. And I actually took him in the field myself. It wasn't to rep, just throwing that out there.
I don't remember seeing you going in the field, but that's okay.
And I closed the first door that I pitched and fucking blew his mind.
Okay.
And actually, Adam Dorfman just said it on the call, in the ICL call. Like, you have to go to the, he said, you have to go to the field. You got to do what makes you money or something like that. Lenza, you were on the call. What did he say?
Literally exact same thing Jamie said. Never get away from what makes you money.
Exactly. You literally, it makes you money. So why might as well do it.
Yeah, all these heavyweights, Dorfman's got his dad who's, very successful. I'm sure that's where Adam got that from, and Joe Kaplan. But yeah, you want to be close to the things that generate the revenue. Like Mark Cuban, when he took over the Dallas Mavs, first thing he did was he got on the floor, with the telemarketers, and he started dialing for dollars, setting the pace and trying to bring fans into the worst performing team in the NBA at the time, right? So, that was part of a secret sauce, just lead from the front. So what else? What else can you tell us, Tarek? I mean, you've got lots of enthusiasm. You've got lots of big picture. Like, what are your goals? Where are you going with this thing?
I mean, our goal is to have, we want to promote a bunch of consultants. We're pretty close. We're pushing right now. So first I want to get over this hump and just hit these freaking numbers in the next few months. And then obviously I have some guys I'm really excited about. I want to keep just promoting out deals. I have 8 first gens. I don't plan on stopping. And I want to get to at least 20 first gens, at least. And then I think from there we'll have a bunch of consultants if I keep promoting out.
That's great. Yeah, I think you're closest to an OC promotion.
Yeah. I think we're almost there.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx anything, but keys to success in February. I think we all got the email yesterday. I think it's going to be in Jacksonville or something like that. That should be your moment in time. So again, don't want to jinx anything, but 8 first-gen owners, keep it up, man. And so if I'm a new guy in your office, what's the vision? What am I hearing? Like, why am I joining your business as a new person?
So we talk a lot about expansion and growth. So when we're doing like the filtering, the interviews that we're excited about, we ask them a few questions. Obviously we let them understand that this is sales to make sure they're excited about that. And then about where we're going. So I have the same message with every interview that we do. In the next 5 years, we're going to have 30 to 40 offices, and we want to grow to every single state. So we want to keep expanding. So I talk a lot about growth in our 5-year plan. And I do mention a lot of 3-year plans as well, depending on the candidate, if they're really motivated. So I talk about a lot about expansion, growing, EDM, getting into other opportunities and clients. So some of my guys are piloting a door-to-door campaign next week, some NRG residential. So we're going to try that out. So we're always talking about expansion, growth, and making a shit ton of money. At the end of the day, money doesn't bring happiness, but it gives you freedom and time. So we get everyone to understand that. And we've raised our standard as well for entry-level standards.
What are those standards?
So now it's 1,000 a week. So before it was really weak. So we got it was during promoting owner weekend where Brendan talked about his leadership or entry level standard. And that really stuck with me. And I'm like, dude, why not? Let me try this. And so we've rolled it out this week, and it's really been helping. You guys are really getting promoted strong, and like they're not aiming for the 5 sales a week. They're aiming the dollar amount because that's what matters at the end of the day.
So a rep makes under 1,000, 1 week. What happens the next week?
They're going to still stay in hangback.
Stay in hangback.
Yeah. So they're going to continue. They're still entry level solo. They're not in like our alpha Bravo meetings. They're just in the hangback training until they can hit alpha their first week. And alpha is $1,000 for the week. We separate the 2 rooms. Alpha's Bravos, 1,000, and below 1,000 is Bravo. And then interview standards are 1,500 a week. So we've hired that. Recently it was like 1,200. So it's 1,500 a week for these guys to be in the game to interview.
What would you say to the ICL owner who's like, hey, that sounds great. I hear a lot. Because we do hear a lot of owners that are raising the standard, and we're hearing some insane numbers from people. soon we're gonna have a call. All you guys are gonna get exposed to Griffin. He's a rep in Rebby's office who's made 40 grand in the last 10 weeks as a rep. He's made $40,000, right? So it's like, man, this guy has really raised the bar to an insane level. And I'll have a few questions for him for an ownership audience. But what do you say to the owner who's like, yeah, that's all great hearing all these high standards, but the top guy in my business made like 825. Everybody else is sitting around 650. What do you say to that owner who's just like, man, I can't just tell everybody you got to start making $1,000 here because nobody's doing that.
Well, that's what I thought initially. I mean, before when I started on the campaign, like on the EDM, it started off 800 and we were capped. Everybody were just hitting 800. Nobody would go past that. It's like if you do 800 a week, you get to interview. So we were capped. People were just like slowing down the momentum. And then we hired it to 1,000. And then we had so many people make 1,000. And you have to explain why you're going to hire it. And obviously, one, you want them to make money. And two, you can use, I always use like, hey, we have so many people qualified to interview now. We got to hire the standard. And that pushes more people to crush it more. And then we hired it to 1,500 and that people are like nervous. But the people that never made 1,500 a week started making 1,500 a week, which was crazy. Like people that were stuck always at 1,000, 1,200. The moment we hired that standard to 1,500, like more than half of the office was hitting like alphas and 1,500, 2,000. And then Hanny just exploded, increasing that standard to 4,000, 5,000 a week. Like before, he wasn't doing that. He was capped at like 2,500. But once we hired that standard, he went off. And I think it just shows like what you can do with your office if you push the standard. I think it's really important.
It's that Roger Bannister, limiting beliefs. One guy cracks the 4-minute mile, and next thing you know, 50 people a year are cracking that 4-minute mile. But again, I'm just trying to empathize again with an owner who's like, I'd love to raise my standard and all, but I mean, it's just not happening right now. My top performer's not performing at that level.
I think you have to have a convo with the top people first before you do it. Like the ones that you're really excited about, I would have a convo, explain it to them, get them excited about it, and then hire. Before I hired the standard, I texted if like 2 people that like in my office are consistently crushing it. And I texted them before I was going to hire this standard. I was like, hey, what do you think? And I was going to change it either way, but they were like, yeah, let's do it. Like the guys actually want that push. I think if you have that serious convo with them, they would actually tell you to hire the standard.
I'm reading a book right now called Raising Your Game. And the author says, leaders don't get buy-in from their people. They get believe-in from their people.
Yeah.
Never heard that term before. They get believe-in. Right. So you got to get the reps believing, hey, is this possible? Hey, other offices are doing it. I mean, Tarek's got this crazy thing of like $1,500. Like maybe we should inch it up to 1,000. Like, you got to really instill a culture of belief. Like it can be done.
But that's important to feed them with recruiting. It's like you have to motivate your team with growth. Like if you can't just say 1,500 and they're just sales reps, you got to get them excited about, hey, if you have 1,500, you're guaranteed an interview the next day. So you got to make sure your recruiting is still really good, in my opinion, before you hire that standard. Because you don't want people just making 1,500 a week and all of a sudden you have no recruiting. So you have to make sure you back it up with your recruiting.
Yeah.
That's super important. And that's why these guys extra mile, like I have guys that will go out on their off day all the time, is because they want to earn that interview. And I give them that grace period. If they don't hit that 1,500 a week, they can go the next day and make 300 if they didn't have the best week. So if 300 5 days of the week, that's $1,500 if they can do that every day.
Yeah.
So as long as they can hit, so it's either 1,500 or 300 the day before. And then it'll push people to extra mile if they don't hit 300 to go out there again to hit that interview standard. And it'll automatically they'll make 1,500 automatically if you get them excited.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting. That is a good call out that if you really want to drive your dollar per rep, focus on your recruiting, right? Like those two functions aren't quite independent. I mean, one does fuel the other. So you want to drive that dollar per rep and raise your standard. I mean, do your part as an owner and introduce them to the next Michael Jordan on the team. I mean, you know, that certainly will motivate any leader, no question.
Absolutely.
So Tarek, been a pleasure looking at your new mustache on this call. I appreciate you hopping on, and thank you for setting the pace for everybody. You're doing an outstanding job, and I look forward to your promotion.
Thank you, Jamie, for having me. Bye, guys.
See you guys.